One of three things is going to happen tonight. We're going to make fun of JT Wistersill and the Utah Utes for breaking the rules. We'll talk about Texas Tech being our new overlords in the Big 12. We'll also talk about the mullet himself, Mike Gundy. He's out. This is the Big 12 squad.
You're talking ball with the Big 12 squad. From Oklahoma State to Utah, from Kansas State to BYU, from Houston to Texas Tech, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big 12 weekend. Buckle up. It's the Big 12 squad, and we have a seat for you. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up. You're part of the Big 12 squad.
Welcome into the Big 12 squad, everybody. I'm Jake Hatch, host of Locked On Cougars, covering the BYU Cougars. Next to me is the other guy who hosts the other Cougars show. That's Parker Ainsworth of Locked On Cougs. Next to him is Cody Stovall, who is lamenting the fact that his head coach is out of a job right now. Christian Rau from Locked On Kansas State. That's a great old school hat we got going on from Christian right now. Kevin Borba, my arch nemesis this week from the Colorado Buffaloes, Locked On Buffs. Nick Maravitz of Locked On Cyclones, just below that. Derek Johnson, Locked On Jayhawks. Mountaineer Paul from Locked On West Virginia, and then some guy named JT Wistersill, but nobody cares about him. That's good. All right. So, everybody, Mike Gundy is officially out of a job. Who would have thought that after 20 plus years in Stillwater, he is no longer a member of the Big 12?
I just can't believe they didn't let him finish the season.
I can.
Well, sometimes they didn't let him finish driving home, so
That's fair.
I think
you said, who can believe? Can we all believe? I feel like we've been hinting at this for a minute.
Unfortunately, in today's world of college football, this is one of the things I think just sucks about the sport is you have to get a head start on these things. I'm curious to hear Cody's thoughts in a moment, but I would have loved to see him finish out the year, but I think they had to do this to try to get the jump on the hiring cycle.
Cody needs to talk, but JT, I don't think any part of this sucks. This is great. No part of this sucks.
It's going to be good for Cody's channel, that's for sure.
I was just saying,
Yeah, there you go.
there's one thing in
Trust
this
me.
business that's good for business. It's coaching searches, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Cody, give us your reaction. Go ahead, bud.
thankfully, when it comes to the coaching search side of the equation, it appears as though there have been donors that have stepped up massively in a matter of hours. So the reports that there were some guys that were willing to fork over massive amounts if Mike Gundy were to be gone, that seems to be true. And with that being said, we're trying to take a massive swing, probably a bigger swing than anybody in Oklahoma State country could even fathom. But as it pertains directly to Mike Gundy, listen, I've had some things to say about Mike Gundy from 2022 on and some of the things that he's done that has put Oklahoma State behind the eight ball. But at the same point in time, I think the timing of this is not great. Yes, you do have to get ahead of it because if you want a G.J. Kinney, you got to make him an offer before the Baylor job comes open. If you want a John Summerall, you got to wait, and you can't wait until Kentucky's available. Alex Golesh, Florida, same concept, right? But the flip side of that, and I feel bad for the players because this has hit them like a ton of bricks, and a lot of them feel like this particular season is not on Gundy. What has happened to get us in this position is on Gundy. But the failure of this particular year is not on Gundy, and some of the players, a decent number of the players, are not happy right now in any capacity.
Cody, I have a question. Just because there was like this report that I saw today, and it was like, or Mike Gundy yesterday. We'll go back to yesterday. He said he's going to finish out the season, and then like literally 24 hours later, they're like, "You're fired." So what changed in those 24 hours? Was it his sort of cockiness that he was going to keep the job, or was it just something that he said behind closed doors? Because he did throw out there that he had 3.5 years on the contract.
I'm being told from the conversations we had Saturday, even on Cam's show, Mike Gundy knew what was happening. Mike Gundy knew Saturday night that this was pretty much a done deal. I haven't confirmed this part, but I have heard that he was supposed to say something about it yesterday. He chose not to. He chose to force Oklahoma State's hand today to make Oklahoma State look like the bad guys. If that is true, that last amount of gamesmanship on his way out, it's equal parts funny and slightly concerning, right?
It's Mike Gundy.
Arguably the best game plan he's had in probably 2 years, right?
he knew they weren't going to do it on the anniversary of the I'm a Man speech.
Do you think he gets another coaching job, or do you think he goes like to TV?
Gosh, no.
He's got to go to TV.
I don't know. I think he'd be pretty entertaining.
He wants to coach. Somebody was quoted today talking to Cale Gundy, what do you think of your brother, and do you think he's done coaching? And his exact answer was, hell no, he's not done, and I'm coming with him. So wherever Mike Gundy goes, evidently it's going to be a package deal with Cale Gundy.
Anybody want to call their shot? What about UAB?
Cody. So he ends up going, GJ Kinney goes to Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy goes to Texas State. How about that?
That would be a trade that I think all of us in Cowboy country would definitely sign up for.
Cody, you mentioned you guys are going big game hunting for your hire, but Mike Gundy just a few weeks ago was talking about how you guys don't have the greatest NIL resources. Now you're paying a coach's buyout. How confident are you that you're going to be able to get one of those top candidates?
I don't want to say very confident, but pretty confident. So I've done a couple episodes on this. I did it immediately after because I knew good and damn well that we paid way more than $7 million for this particular roster. All of the numbers I had researched or seen based off of, what some particular players are getting was anywhere between the 10 and 13 mil range. So I think that even validates, and I've heard it today from players, Mike Gundy had no flipping clue what we were paying players. He had literally zero idea.
Jeez. Do you guys have a general manager, Cody?
That's a touchy subject. We kind of do. We have somebody who is trying to be a GM that is, in my personal opinion, causing more harm than good, but that's a different topic for a different day.
So you have concept
of board of regents?
Yes, we have a concept of it. Yeah, yes. Don't get me going on the board of regents, Paul. Okay, that's been a diatribe of mine all daggone day today.
And that's the thing about that, Cody, is he was at war with the regents last year. And to your point, does he just decide, you know what, to heck with it? I'm gonna fight these guys tooth and nail. They're gonna have to force me out.
Well, that's obviously what happened, right? Because again, I know Gundy was in the meeting Saturday.
Yeah.
I know at 7:31 p.m. Mike Gundy was fully aware of what was about to take place, and we all expected him to mention it Monday, and it didn't happen. So I do think that was the final shot across the bow for Mike Gundy. I do appreciate that they allowed him to go speak to the team today. I was just on the phone with a player right before we got on here, and it was not good. The locker room's not happy. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of anger. Is there going to be some players that don't really care? Yes. And those are probably the players that we don't necessarily need on the team or on the field anymore. There is a cancer in the locker room. Part of that is on Gundy, sure. But part of it is just simply the fact that we have more guys concerned about jewelry, NIL, all this other crap than Oklahoma State University. They don't care about Cowboy culture. They don't care if we win another game all flipping season. To me, that is the biggest problem. So if we're going to have a portion of a mass exodus, those dudes need to go first because they do exist. They are out there, and our coaches know exactly who they are.
Cody, I want to ask a question. I feel like you've done a good job outlining how they've kind of controlled the state of Oklahoma recruiting as of late. Part of the initial fallout was like a bunch of recruits decommitted because they'd committed to a Gundy program. Is it important to name a guy pretty quickly to bring those guys back? Is it possible to bring those guys back? That was frankly felt like a big win for a program that hadn't had one in a while.
No, you're 100% right. This is hands down. It's not even close, Parker. It's by 13 solid country miles, the best in-state recruiting we have ever done. Like, we had the number 1 ranked recruit, the number 3, the number 4, the number 6, the number 9, the number 12. We dominated OU in recruiting, and now it's going to kind of fall apart. So I do think that it's important that we name the right guy, but Chad Weiberg did mention this today in his announcement that he'll be back for 4 more years, is we are paying attention to the timing of it, but not at the expense of finding the right guy. So if we're going in after an NFL dude and he's agreeing to it, then it's probably going to be well past December before we have an announcement. If that's the case, we're going to lose this class no matter what.
Well, I had a question about that because Weiberg said they're not really worried about the short term. They're worried about the long term, 2, 3, 5 years down the line. Isn't that a disservice to the players on the team right now?
Yeah, I think that was him kind of covering some flack for himself, because I can tell you the sentiment being right now is if we're bringing in a 3 to 5 year project, this is a disaster and we're going to end up in the Pac-12. I think that we do have to, and again, I think that there's validity to this because we're hearing that we're prepared to financially take a massive swing.
Okay.
I only think you're doing that if you know you have to win now. Does that mean we have to win next season? No. But I think if you look what Lance Leipold did at KU, you look what Willie Fritz has done at KU, and even to some degree Kleiman at K-State, you don't have to win immediately. But year 2, year 3, in today's age of college football, you have to show significant signs of improvement. So I don't think that Chad Weiberg is willing to take a step backwards. We're not going to go with a hire that is a project. If we have a coach that isn't successful in 3 years, I would imagine year 4 we're coach searching again.
All right.
So, is there going to be a statue? Is there going to be a statue?
Yes, 100%.
You want a splashy hire. You want somebody who's been a sitting head coach. You want someone with experience. What if I could guarantee you somebody who used to coach at Oklahoma State and Kansas in the Big 12?
Yes.
Miles.
Oh, gosh.
Offensive coordinator Charlie
I'll put
Weiss.
it to you this way. When Mike Gundy got the job in 2005, the first thing he did was kick 25 players off the team because Les Miles ran a pretty loosey-goosey ship in Stillwater, America. We don't have time for loosey-goosey anymore. If we can't drive down the road with a couple beers 1,000 times anymore, then we can't handle loosey-goosey no more either.
Okay, so Cody, I'm just saying from the BYU perspective, I wish you the best of luck in trying to find your Kevin Young. That sounds like what they're trying to do in Stillwater. All right, coming up next, JT's favorite subject, acknowledging that Texas Tech is better than Utah.
No.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. Now, who delivered this week in the Big 12? We're giving it to Texas Tech quarterback Will Hammond. There's no doubt about that. He obviously had the big game coming off the bench to lead the Texas Tech Red Raiders to the big win over the Utah Utes. Absolutely electric performance. Big 12 player and freshman of the week. And if you've been watching week after week, Texas Tech looks like they're the class of the Big 12. They are absolutely on a streak. And just like Will Hammond delivered for Texas Tech, DoorDash delivers on your Saturdays with DoorDash streaks. Every Saturday you order, you can stack it up all season long and save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. The promo period runs through 11/18. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here. It's time to get in on the action. They have a can't-miss offer for you as a new customer. You bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Best part about FanDuel is it fits however you like to bet. Player props, but in the same game parlay. Whether you like to do live action, you want to do over-unders, no matter how you like to bet, they've got options for you guys to make every game more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sunday. So you're ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet and cash it in with our friends over at FanDuel. All right, JT Wister-Sill, it is your time to lament the fact that your Utah Utes have to bow down to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Ready?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to. No, they are. Texas Tech's the best team in this conference right now. I think that was clear with what they were able to do on Saturday. I think they have the most impressive win so far, going into a place like Rice-Eccles Stadium, dominating the trenches against a team where, say what you want about this Utah team, it feels pretty clear to me that they have a really good
offensive line. Say it right, JT. It's Bryce-Eccles.
Rice-Eccles.
You say it right.
Well,
Don't you besmirch this level like this.
Tech can call it whatever they want after what they were able to do. I don't want to
still spinning after that thumping.
Lubbock West. That's what we're going with. Okay, got it.
I was really impressed with this Tech team. I think their trench talent is insane. That defensive line is nasty. The fact that they won the line of scrimmage against Utah, I think should scare a lot of other teams in the Big 12, especially their defensive line beating our offensive line. That's a problem. I think Tech looks really good. And it's funny, they might even have a quarterback controversy on their hand because of what their back was able to do.
Okay, so JT, that brings up a point. You and I were sitting there at Big 12 Media Days together. And I got up and asked Kyle Whittingham the question, is this the best offensive line in the country? He said, well, I haven't studied them all across the country. This is the best offensive line I've had at Utah. What does that mean that Texas Tech went in and controlled the trenches against a vaunted offensive front?
Well, two things. Number one, I don't know. I still am a little surprised that Kyle said that, considering the interior offensive line was not fantastic last year. Those two tackles are as advertised, but the interior had issues, and Lee Hunter dominated the game on the interior for Texas Tech. That's part of the reason Utah could not run the ball. But I do think it's just, look, Tech, I mean, that's part of the reason all those NFL scouts were in attendance, right? David Bailey, Romello Heights on the other side, Hunter in the middle. That is a legit, they can go in and beat an SEC, a Big Ten team to me with that type of talent in the trenches. And the rest of the roster is really good too, right? Jacob Rodriguez flying around making plays. Tech, we haven't seen a team come into Salt Lake City and have that type of performance when a Utah team is like a fully healthy starting quarterback, which is obviously something that's hard to come by in a long time. So I was incredibly impressed.
Was he fully healthy though?
Yeah, was he?
Yeah, he wasn't fully healthy.
Hold on. We got to get to that in a minute. Hold off, everybody.
I want to ask a question to the rest of the crowd though, and not to limit too much on it, but a year ago, I feel like I can pull up the exact clip of JT saying that when Utah beat Oklahoma State. And now we're talking about firing Gundy in the middle of the week in September. is it not? I know there's a gigantic tech investment. It's also mid-September, and we have a quarterback controversy here in Lubbock. Maybe Utah is not what we thought Utah was. And
Utah is terrible. I don't know why everyone was so high on them. We need to stop with this. I said this.
Yes,
what has Utah done since they left the Pac-12? What have they done?
We'll find out this Saturday, right?
Yes.
I want to hear new guy Nick get into this. This is going to be fun. But I will say, Mike Gundy said before the season this was hands down the best defensive line he's ever seen in Stillwater. And guys, we play like a massive bag of D's and hammered ass cheeks. So there's always that gamesmanship that does happen.
Hey, Parker and Nick, y'all are talking a lot. You haven't beat anyone worth a dang this season. Let's just see how good you guys' teams are.
How was the first half against Wyoming? What are we even talking about here?
UCLA Bruins over here, big tough guy.
UCLA Bruins. Let anything.
They also fired their coach. Yeah, okay, UCLA Bruin. This guy. That was your big one to start the year.
It was Utah. I have no
Utah's overrated. We don't know anything about a lot of these teams in this conference because I don't see many impressive wins overall.
Yeah, but we saw Utah not being good.
We know a lot about Kansas State. Okay,
we know that Haney is better than Xavier.
Probably too much about Kansas State. Probably too much about them and their familial issues. Yeah. JT, question though.
Yeah.
If let's just talk about the quarterback situation for Texas Tech because you saw it firsthand. Baron Morton, the game was like in hand for you guys. Like it was very much attainable to win when Baron Morton was in. Then they put Will Hammond in and they scored, I think it was like 24 fourth quarter points.
21 on
Do you think do you think Texas Tech has a quarterback dilemma problem or they're going to go back to Baron Morton who's spending his millions of NIL on hunting land?
I think they found lightning in a bottle, and I don't think he will be able to replicate that being Hammond. I think he caught a worn-down Utah defense. I think
JT. A Mormon quarterback playing in Salt Lake City for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It had to happen.
It did have exactly. It had to happen. I would be very cautious of throwing him out there with teams that have a game plan for him. And once again, that Utah defense had been on the field for so much time. Maybe he is the better guy. I'd stick with the veteran. I think when teams have an opportunity to game plan, and I think he caught Utah by a surprise a little bit, I would still roll with Morton. And I'd be shocked if Texas Tech didn't, although they have a really nice 1-2 quarterback situation. I'm jealous. Is that what it's like to have a good backup quarterback?
Yeah, it is.
Texas Tech got Jet Duffy. That's what happened.
Hammond is
Jet Duffy came off the bench to destroy West Virginia 2 years in a row. He was the worst quarterback in the league.
Football, though. He's now the guy that everyone on the fan base wants to start, and he may not start, but he's like the most popular guy because they're like, look at that dude, Will Hammond.
I think Devin Dampier is phenomenal. But legit question, JT, is Devin Dampier still on the top 10, the Heisman dark horse list? He probably should be. I'm not talking crap.
He is absent. I'm really not. He is absent just as the take you had earlier in the season of I don't know why Oklahoma State and Utah aren't being mentioned in the same sentence because we may have lost this weekend, but we didn't lose to Tulsa.
Listen, calm your tits, McGee. You just need to take a step down. What I was going to say was, I think Devin Dampier should be in the top 10. So should Rocco Beck. But since you so eloquently decided
very good this last week at Dampier,
decided to ruffle some feathers here, we don't play Utah this year. That's okay. But you notice what just happened to Mike Gundy. It's going to happen to Kyle Whittingham as well, unless Utah does something miraculous. Guys, we have just witnessed it. You either live long enough to be the hero or you coach long enough just to become the villain, which is also why the Cowboys might be stealing a coach out of the Big 12 country. And it's not going to be a Kyle Whittingham because we just did the 60-year-old experiment and it didn't work.
I do think Cody brings up a good point, though. These things.
You're darn right, Cody does, Parker.
The Nick Saban
Why are you two
exit
friends
on your
all
own
of a sudden
terms.
now? You guys have been at each other's necks the last couple episodes. I like that better.
No, but Nick Saban's exit was very unique in that, he got to pick his time and left kind of without having any blemishes, right? Like, he's like, I don't want this anymore, and just bounce. That doesn't happen. It always goes up.
Background last year at Carolina.
It always goes up in flames.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kyle Whittingham will get to leave on his own terms because he's kind of already laid the groundwork that he doesn't want to coach beyond 65.
This doesn't feel like flames.
I think he turned 65 in November, or he might be 65 already.
Well, he's past that. He's past that point of age. So here's what I'll say about Witt. I do feel like if this season went off the rails, I think there would be I don't know if Utah would pull the trigger and fire Kyle Whittingham, but I think there would be a very strong What'd you say, Nick?
Utah's not making a bowl game. I've got the schedule right here.
Not
Oklahoma State quarterback.
2 wins the rest of the year.
How are the overreactions on the show? We lost
Oklahoma
one
State
game.
head coach Kyle
We
Whittingham.
lost one game. Where's
You think a whole lot of BYU fans are going to be watching Locked On Cyclones. I'm just going to say.
I think that Witt will be able to go out on his own terms. But if Utah's a very bad season this year, I think there's going to be conversations of we don't want to let Morgan Scalley go out the door. Because if Chris was here, he can attest how legit that Utah defense was. Yes, the score got lopsided, y'all, but that Utah defense, I mean, they were on the field so much. They were really.
Can I help?
Saturday.
Can I help?
That's
full
exactly
circle
what
this one?
happened to
This
us in
topic.
Kansas, really.
Yeah, let me full circle this one real quick since we go back to Texas Tech. I know Chris isn't here, but this is something that we talked about this entire offseason, right? With NIL spending so much dang money and then they become a favorite right off the bat. Derek, I want to point at you because you just got a $300 million investment for this. So you get to be the expert on this question. Are we going to see more teams do exactly what Booth and Texas Tech have done? Or is this going to the new status quo?
No, I think a lot of people are going to do it. I mean, Phil Knight has basically been doing it at Oregon, right? He just does it over like more installments every year. I mean, if T-Boone, if T-Boone Pickens are still alive.
BYU's got a bunch of people that are investing massive amounts of NIL right now. Yeah.
Just ask Cam Stewart about those BYU people.
Yes.
Ren Baker, the press release we just
All
put
right,
out.
so we're going to continue to dunk on JT here because apparently the Utah Utes decided to, play fast and loose with the rules. We'll get into that next as the Big 12 squad rolls on. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda, moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. These are the moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week, the moment is, Will Hammond coming off the bench for the Texas Tech Red Raiders as he came off the bench to score 21 unanswered as Texas Tech beat the Utah Utes 34-10. It was an absolutely electric moment, and as such, he won a number of awards: Big 12 Player of the Week, Big 12 Freshman of the Week, and he very well may have Wally pipped his way to the starting job in Lubbock. When you move what follows you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Check it out with our friends over at Mazda. We like to say, move and be moved.
Hey, I just want to say I appreciate you going from fast and loose straight to JT. How fitting of you, Jake Hatch. Fire away, sir.
I have a question for Jake, though, before we get to JT.
Okay.
Wolf's been playing time with JT. Is Wally Pipp in this instance Baron Morton, or is the phrase is he got Wally pipped, but Baron Morton's the Wally Pipp in this, right?
It's just that's a good point. It very well may be the opposite. I probably should use a different phrase, but yeah, that's a good point.
Wally picked is whenever you're replaced by somebody that does better than you and never lets. Okay.
Well, that's the thought that Will Hammond may be doing that very thing.
Right.
All right, so JT Wistersill, defend Kyle Whittingham's honor. Go.
I can't. I said it was a bad look for the program earlier today, and I stand by that. I don't know what we are doing with these injury reports. I mean, everyone in the conference is going to abide by them, and we want to be the one team that just makes problems. Like, he tries to defend himself by being like, we always knew he was going to play, but he missed multiple practices last week. I don't know what other institution, program, whatever you call it, if there's an injury report, Devin Dampier is at least not probable. You think he's going to play. He has an injury. He's probable. It's not a guarantee that he's going to play with an injury. I thought it's a bad look by Utah. Kyle Whittingham said that if the Big 12 did media injury reports, Utah would abide by the rules. And right away, we see them not doing that. Their injury report compared to everyone else's was a joke. Kyle Whittingham continues to want to maintain this competitive advantage thing. And your competitive advantage worked so well on Saturday. You lost 34-10. This is the part of Kyle Whittingham that I'm getting tired of. I thought it was a bad look for the university. They had to put out a statement yesterday to clarify it. This is a massive distraction. What they need to focus on is improving the product on the field if they want to get back into Big 12 contention.
Okay, so there's a photo that was thrown out. I'm going to put it up here. You see that big brace right there on that ankle?
That's right. It was deleted last week.
That was put out by Utah and then very quickly deleted, but obviously the internet lives on forever, everybody. And they inadvertently just revealed what happened. But to your point, JT, we've got Utah fans. Some of them are upset with Kyle Whittingham because they've gone through 2 years of Kyle, the Cam Rising, Uno Doctor. He's week to week. They're jaded and they hate the fact that he's playing this game. But there's other ones who say that he abided by the letter of the law, albeit it says literally in the rules that the spirit of the law is to make sure that you update these reports, as you mentioned. So where does everybody else come down on this? Because I think that Kyle Whittingham, he's trying to game the system, and I think the conference slapped his hand.
It's obvious. If you're going to not put him on the injury report, don't use it as an excuse, right? Yeah. Say, hey, we got beat by Texas Tech. You can't say, hey, he had a bum ankle, he didn't get to practice, because then you're breaking the rule, right? Which you vowed to abide by. And so don't use it as an excuse if you're not going to use it properly. And he probably still has Cam Rising listed as questionable, honestly.
They should have fined him. They should have fined him. That's all I'm going to say.
My grandparents always said that you don't have to remember what you said if you said the truth. And that's something that I think you got to do. And you don't have to remember what you said if you say the truth. And that's something that did not happen at Utah.
I can't believe the Big 12 is not coming down. I got two thoughts, but one is that I can't believe the Big 12 is not coming down harder on this. Just from this is the first time. It's been 2 weeks or whatever, conference games. I can't believe we're already dealing with this. It ought to be more than just, it needs to be something real. It was not doing it from that perspective.
To that point, JT already mentioned it. Kyle was already saying, well, if they're going to make me do injury reports, I'm not doing a depth chart. He set the ground through this in the preseason.
It's just so stupid.
And they need to go after him because if they're going to make it a
NFL. Coaches in the NFL have an injury report, and those are the best coaches in the world, and all of them have it. It is not a competitive advantage. They're fine. The NFL is just fine. Right. College coaches can do it too.
It does feel a little unfair because Rich Rodriguez is out there today talking about Nico Marchiol seeing a specialist in Colorado with this but it's like he's being uber transparent, and we're not getting that reciprocated from the team we're playing this week.
And you could do the opposite where you put him questionable all week when you know he's really going to play. It's still gamesmanshipy, and you're just being closer to honest. I also think, though, that sports leagues, and this is a show brought to you by FanDuel, so I don't know how uncomfortable we want to get here, but part of this is setting lines.
Oh, no,
honestly,
it is.
Right?
Sanders said that very thing this week when asked about these injury reports.
That's but the coaches can't complain about that because what pays their salary are big sponsors FanDuel.
Coaches can't complain.
So much money. That's
coaches
why they
can't complain, but FanDuel and DraftKings, and I guess I should probably only list FanDuel, but they absolutely can because this is screwing with their lines. If they have any evidence that people in and around Salt Lake knew something that did not get revealed when it was supposed to, that could have upset a lot of people's pocketbooks. This should absolutely be a big deal to them. And it's not a big deal to the coaches, although I think the Big 12 should get involved. Those companies are sponsoring and funding a lot of what's happening in athletics, both collegiately and pro. And that's a big deal that they could have lost an unknown amount of money, but it could have been a lot of money if just a few people knew.
And if you're going to use an excuse, don't you want it out in the public to begin with? So if you do, you can be like Mountaineer Paul just said, Rich Rod, obviously I'm not trying to pick on you guys, but if you guys lose and it's okay, we're without our starting quarterback. He's been in Colorado for the whole week.
And Borg, to your point, for him to come out on Monday and say, oh, by the way, he was injured, it sounds like even more of an excuse to use it Monday after you got your tails kicked by the Red Raiders.
Because that could also impact their playoff sort of standing, right? Had the playoff committee known before, hey, Devin Dampier is injured, and Utah got their ass kicked, but hey, Devin Dampier was injured, and then they went out. It's okay, well, their one loss, he was injured, right? They would have factored that in because we've seen them factor in injuries to the quarterback before. Just ask Florida State.
Nick, what do you say?
I think you have to be considered for you have to win a lot of games to be considered for the college football playoff. So I don't think Utah's got to worry about that. When it comes to the injury report thing, I kind of like that we've already got this going. I know that every one of your points is completely valid, but it is kind of fun, right? We were already gaming the system and it's getting wrinkly. And I don't know what Matt Campbell's going to do because he's kind of one of those coaches too, where we heard this week, Kyle Conrarty's week to week. Well, it could be week to week for the next year. That's kind of how his game is played. So I actually kind of liked it. It was a little bit of a fun little week thing, but yeah, I wouldn't count.
But that's within the rules. All you have to do is say probable, doubtful, questionable, or out. If it's week to week and you just say he's out this week, you're within the rules.
Right. And if he was technically 100% guaranteed to play, that is that not what it's stated as? The way I interpreted it was they did technically follow the rule, but I do agree with Kevin here. You can't go back now and say, that's why. That's not how it works.
They did it in bad faith. It was in bad faith.
He was absolutely probable. There's no way based on the definition of probable you can be oh yeah, he was 100% always going to play. When you have that type of an injury, there is always a risk and a chance. Also, it's fine, Jake. I've been dunked on all episode, but I can't wait to dunk on you next week when the Buffs beat up on BYU.
Oh. Hey, what happens if you lose to West Virginia, though?
Yeah, what happens if you lose to West Virginia, buddy?
Should I just shave it off?
West Virginia's a good team. They're a good quality team.
Did I hear a bet? Did I hear a bet being here at the end of the episode?
Hey, I will say that Nobody in here better lose to Oklahoma State this year, or I'm going to.
Well, it was a question I was going to ask earlier, Cody. Does Oklahoma State just light their rear ends on fire the rest of this season and win out, or is this going to completely demoralize the team?
I don't think we have enough talent or schematic abilities in coaching to do that. But mark my word, we're going to beat somebody. We're going to upset somebody, and we're going to
Christian knows. Christian
there
knows.
is a higher likelihood that Oklahoma State wins every game the rest of the season than Utah makes a bowl game.
Okay. Their offensive line, it was a 10-3 game in the fourth quarter. Y'all are crazy for a quarterback with a bad ankle.
Not changing my mind.
Loaded Texas Tech team. They had one bad performance. The 16th ranked team in the country. We're just out crazy talk, Nick. I hope we get to see. I wish we could see all this.
JT unleashed the beast that is Nick Maravets. I cannot believe this is happening.
Yeah,
JT, I look forward to you trying to dunk on me next week, but we'll dunk on you for sure. We'll talk that.
You can't jump that high.
When does new guy Nick get to lose his new guy? Does he have to be in the league as long as Gundy?
Yeah, it'll always be new guy Nick. I'm sorry.
New guy Nick. That's just the nickname. That's just
he just started. He just started like yesterday.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you to everybody for tuning in. That is Parker Ainsworth next to me, Locked on Cougs, covering the Houston Cougars. Cody Stovall's in the middle of a coaching search with Locked on Oklahoma State. Christian Raul, I don't know what Kansas State's doing over here, but they'll figure it out as they go along.
They don't either.
Kevin Moore from Locked On Buffs. He and I are mortal enemies, as I mentioned this week. Nick Maravitz from Locked On Cyclones. Right below me, next to him, Derek Johnson from Locked On Jayhawks Mountaineer. Paul from Locked On West Virginia. And, of course, JT was still
where are Drake and Cam?
Of Locked On Utes. Who the heck knows? I got asked like 10 minutes before this thing started to host. So, as always, thank you to everyone for tuning in. I'm Jake Hatch, host of Locked On BYU Cougars. And until next week, this has been the Big 12 Squad.